on, everyone? Welcome back to the adventure here at John Goes Off-Road, where today we've got a little bit of an episode where I kind of want to go into a little bit more detail in regards to what the setup is here on the truck and what kind of issues I'm having. So first things first, let's start off with the bad news. Unfortunately, I'm rubbing like crazy. And with the new wheel setup, unfortunately, we had a problem where that wheel was rubbing up on the caliper. I know you guys can't see from there because it's a fixed tripod, but right here on this piece of the caliper, I had shaved off just a little bit because the face of the actual wheel was rubbing up every time we would turn on this part of the caliper. So big problem right there. I couldn't unfortunately drive it. It was rubbing like crazy on that, so I pretty much just moved it from the driveway down about 10 feet and then brought it back, and then I just noticed that it was rubbing on there. So hence why we have these Spider Tracks 1.25 inch spacer that, for the most part, this guy's been great. It's pretty rock solid. I can't really complain about this guy, but unfortunately it has made the offset a lot worse. The wheel that I have on here right now is a 17x9, which is already pretty wide, and then a -38 in offset. So it's got a pretty big dish. It pokes out a little bit. So everything in regards to that was the same thing that I had on the old setup with the SCS F5s. But unfortunately now, with that happening, I had to throw a spacer on there. So with everything being a little bit more last minute and not being able to drive the truck around, not that it is a daily or anything like that, but I still wanted to drive it and enjoy it and kind of see how it looked with the wheels and everything like that. So ended up purchasing these through 4-Wheel Parts, where they had them in stock and everything. So I jumped right on it and it looks great, looks good. If you've been on my Instagram, you've seen it a few times where it looks really wide and really bulky. Kind of more so on the long travel side, where it looks great, but unfortunately does not perform great. So I don't know if it'll catch this, but right here I had to shave off a decent amount. The fender's kind of bashed in on the inside. I ended up doing a CMR through FabZone out in San Diego. So Vaughn has really hooked it up in regards to getting the work done. I know I did not get a discount or anything like that. I know Vaughn does great work, so I went out there, made the drive, plus I have best friends out there, so I made a trip out of it, so there's that. But anyways, in regards to that, we still rub on the firewall now, so it's just kind of brought a lot of issues here, and where now we kind of are thinking, or at least I'm thinking, to remove this guy and just find a better way to run this wheel. Now, when it comes down to it, I just need a few millimeters off of it. So we bought these spacers, or I bought these spacers that are 5 millimeters thick. My biggest problem was to find a spacer that I could still run the stock lugs on and make sure that those guys were okay, hence why we have the spacers. But the spacers being too big, and the smallest one that a reputable company made was an inch, and I probably wouldn't have gotten those inch spacers until next year. I had to opt in and just kind of jump into the 1.25. So I've been running those up front just to kind of drive the truck around, but unfortunately it does rub like crazy. And now all I kind of want to show you guys is how we're going to try and hopefully make sure that it's a success. Hopefully. If not, then back to the drawing board. So when it comes down to my suspension setup, it's not too hard or anything too crazy. We just have the 2.5 extended travel Icon front shocks with the external reservoir, no dampener stiffeners or anything like that. So that part I didn't feel like I needed, and these guys have ridden really soft. In regards to me having all the weight up front with the bumper, I did go with a 700-pound spring, so it still rides smooth. Everything's great so far. I've been running it for about like 25,000 miles and I haven't really had an issue. Same thing with the Total Chaos upper control arm. That's just a uniball upper control arm that I've been, pretty much rock crawling with, doing my camp stuff, and just not really dailying it, but driving it very often up to the trails and just out and about. So those guys have done great. And then I blew out my spindles, so I ended up getting a FabZone reinforced spindle with the spindle gussets on it. I'm going to try and tilt for you guys as smooth as I can so you guys can take a look. These, of course, are now more reinforced and stronger. You can definitely tell they're stronger based on the welds and how they're mounted on there. So I really liked how FabZone had their kit, and also how Vaughn welded that in specific. So been in love with that. Haven't had any issues on that. And then also did spindle gussets down here below with Kaizen. Kaizen was the only shop that was able to fit me in at such a short notice with the truck being blown up. If you haven't seen that episode and why my spindle gussets blew out, go ahead and do so. It's on my channel. But enough about that. So got spindle gussets from Total Chaos, and Kaizen welded those on. Same, great, honest pricing, and then also very good work in general. So really was stoked on that, and then just kind of want to show you guys how that spacer looks like. Nothing really too crazy, nothing special, but they've been rock solid. They haven't moved or anything like that. I just checked torque before this, just to make sure that they were torqued, just to see if they got loose by any chance. Sorry if you're hearing a lot of wind, but it's a little windy out here. And they didn't move at all, so that was pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys here what we're kind of looking at in regards to what we're trying to replace it with, and hopefully it working. Okay guys, so when it comes down to the spacers that I now want to go with, I ended up finding these at a kind of sketchy shop, a shop where they do a lot of stuff where they'll make anything fit. So I ended up contacting them, and they've been around for a very, very long time, doing from lifted trucks to slam trucks, you know, pretty much everything in general that you would see on West Coast Customs. They're pretty much there. So they ended up getting these little 5mm spacers in, and I jumped right on it. So to try and see, as you guys can see, all I need is just a little bit of space, hopefully, to get away from the actual caliper and not have to rock a 1.25 inch spacer. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna remove these guys. Hopefully it'll work. All I'm gonna end up doing is switching these guys out for these guys, and hopefully getting enough threads to be able to run the lugs properly, and then also getting away from this caliper, and hopefully getting rid of my crazy rub. So yeah, let's get to it. Alrighty guys, I hope this focuses, but I just want to show you the big difference on what we're kind of looking at. So this is what, how much different the spacer is. So I'm hoping, again, just getting by a couple millimeters and then still being able to, no. This is why people have trust issues with the automotive industry. Yeah, bro, it'll fit, man. It's for a Tacoma, man. Yeah, man, for sure, man.